there was this interesting thing that happened at the Oscars where there was a black man. His name was Billy something. I can't remember his last name. You guys can remind me if you're watching what his last name was. There was a guy named this guy Billy Porter, I think is his name. So Billy Porter, this actress, he shows up at the Oscars, and he's wearing this tuxedo dress, and he's looking like every bit of a woman. And in fact, Dr. Anderson, what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to pull up a picture of Billy Porter. Have you seen the picture by chance of this man?
No, I have not.
Okay, let me go here.
I can guess what it would probably look like.
Yeah, let me show it to you so you don't even have to guess. Can you see that, Dr. Anderson, on the screen?
God darn. You almost make me want to throw up. Go on, I see it.
Yeah, there's some more pictures of him, and he's married. He's married to a white man. This is
wait, married to a white man.
Yeah, there you go. That's his husband.
God damn. Ooh, Lord.
I'm sorry. I hope I didn't throw you off, Dr. Anderson. So he's now here's the thing. This man, you know, when he came to the Oscars, he was the toast of the town. Everybody was ranting and raving about how beautiful he looked, and there were even some black Hollywood elites who were saying, "Oh, this is great, and he's the best dressed man and the best dressed woman," and things like that. And a lot of us were a little bit concerned because we were thinking about what you've talked about in terms of the emasculation of the black man and the effort to portray the black man in a feminized way. And so I would love for you to put it into historical context. When you see an image like that, knowing what you know going all the way back before slavery, what do you see when you see a black man getting accolades from the world for dressing up like a woman?
Well, be as candid with you as I can. I see a continuation what has always been prophesied and predicted and sort of as a guiding light for black folk in the country, Dr. Watkins. Let's go back very quickly in history since you mentioned that. See, what I've said this to blacks over and over again in every one of my books, and I don't know what it takes to make black folk fully understand this, but I'm gonna say it to them again. I'm gonna go through it very quickly. I'm gonna give you some very broad feelings about what's going on. But let me preface by saying this. What black folk never seem to understand is that slavery itself, Dr. Watkins, was a declaration of war against black males. Did you hear what I said? The slavery concept itself, when it was first injected into public dialogue back in the 1500s, that was a declaration of war against the black male, period. But the whole point was of doing what? What was the purpose of it? It was to put whites in a position to acquire what they call a superiority position over blacks. That means that what they want to do is to reduce the black race down to nothing. They want to strip the black male of his masculinity and womanize the black man and render him very weak, defenseless, controllable, and marginally literate. That was the purpose of the Declaration of War that led to slavery and racism in America. And systematically, they've been using that throughout history to do what? To achieve what results? First, what they wanted to do was they wanted to systematize it so that when they started importing slaves into America, 80% of the slaves coming into America up until 1808, Dr. Watkins, were black men. Slavery was not against black women, it was against black men. Whites didn't want women into the country. They want this biggest, strongest thing they could get so they could work it to death before it was 40 years of age. So slavery was first initiated against black men. They just started using black women to way after 1808, after the Constitution forbade bringing in more slaves. That's point one. Point two, you tell your listeners to write down some of these points. Point two is that what they did, they said then that by bringing blacks in and enslaving them, and then trying to womanize them, we're going to womanize them by making them dress, act like men, make them weak and harmless and helpless. And so they can be womanized. And so what they did in effect was put black folk in a position where they have the shortest life expectancy, and they would have, and that for that reason, gender came over black folk. So that the average black man now has the shortest life expectancy of anything in the country, black, white, or otherwise. As a matter of fact, you know, somebody said you might mention that. See this little chart right here? I'm gonna put this little chart so you get a better understanding what I'm getting ready to say to you. See this chart here? what the racism did. I just drew it up a few minutes ago while I was talking to you. They put a block. White man is at, they see these blocks. They got 3 levels, 1, 2, 3, like going down steps. Can you see that? Yeah. Like going down steps, 1, 2, 3. At the top of it, top of those steps, what they put up there was a white woman. They put the white woman up, so they put her into a protected class up at the top here, where my fingers are, over everything. That's why when women are in a protected class, the white woman is in a protected class. She is protected by white society, period. She is superior over everything. That's why you have this thing about how white women get in whatever they want. That's why white women, they say white men prefer blondes, and blondes are preferred in their society. White women are at the top of the spectrum on that ladder. On the second level going down, what they put there on the second level is a white man with black women. And why they put it down here on the second level is that so that the white man can have access to the black woman or any other woman in the middle. Anytime he wants, he can have access. The white man can have access to any woman whenever he wants to on that level. But at the same time, he's having access to all these women, just like you hear about all these white men and now having these sexual relationships, like Trump got all these buying prostitutes, and all these white men got mistresses. But they protect the white woman up here on the top, but they put themselves in the center so they can have access to the black woman. They're not scared of the black woman. The white man has no fear in the black woman. Then at the bottom, underneath that, what they put at the bottom is the black male. The black male is down at the bottom of the thing, so that everybody's over the black male. And what that did then, because of slavery, it shortened the life expectancy for a man. It womanized and put gender over everything for black people, period. So now gender is at the top, both in terms of the white woman is over. That's what the Me Too movement is about. The white woman is in a protected class. She's just struggling with the white man. And the white man is up above, is right beneath her, but he has access to the black woman. That's why he wants the black woman to get everything she wants. And that so let me run through some points with you for a second. I was going through it. That by put everything over black folk, what that did, it made slavery an issue between black men and white men, firstly. Secondly, that by putting black folk in that lower spectrum, it shortened the life expectancy for a black male in America. 3, the black man, once he was put in that low spectrum, he not only had a shorter life expectancy, but he was the only person that was totally forbidden to get an education, because the white man feared the black man. But a black woman could go and get an education, go off and get training, be a nurse and thing, but the black man must stay in the field and work hard because he had a short life expectancy. And as a result of that further, because of the blacks in that lower perspective, he then makes up 51% of all the prisoners in the country. Not black women. Black males make up 51% of the prisoners. Black women only make up about 4% of it. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the black man is suffering from that status I just told you, being the lowest thing. Another thing is that black male, because of that low spectrum, he's been feminized and womanized to the point he's so weak and defenseless, he becomes the primary victim of homicides in the United States. Most of the homicides against black men, particularly young black men. Another point is that if the police is going to shoot somebody because he's so weak and feminized, that the primary people that the police would shoot would be young black men to get rid of them, not black women, not whites, not Asians, not Jews, not Hispanics, nor Indians, but black men, because he's in a weakened position. He's been feminized. Another thing he does is that he's a target not only of police shootings and brutality, but also he's become an endangered species because he's in the lowest level. He's been white women and black women are over him. He's been made to be sissies. And so what they do now is in all media, print and electronic, they're going to try to feminize the black man, put him in magazines, wearing dresses and drag, put him on, have the gay mafia now in California is demanding that every publication, basically, every TV show and every movie must have a black man dressed in drag or as dressed being womanized. And that is because they want to dominate the black man, keep him in that lower level. Now, once they fix him in there, and that's what they're heading towards, and what I'm saying in summation, is that they set him up to be genocide. He's weak, he's powerless, he's over in prison, he's uneducated, he's semi-illiterate, he's suffering all the negatives, and women have been raised over him. That's what the Me Too movement is about. That's why white women who is joining with white women along beside the white man, while the black man is left in the basement. And lastly, most important, as I said in that block I just showed you, the black man is at the bottom. They put them at the bottom to make sure he could not get access to the white woman who's at the top of that spectrum. And so you hear them talk about lynchings. They're going to lynch the black man and castrate him physically. Even when they lynch black men, they castrate him for coming where? Close to the white women. That's why in a 10-year period, they lynched almost 2,800 black men. And when they lynch them, they always castrate them, because they castrate black men to womanize him, to feminize him, to make sure he has no ability, no power, and therefore he cannot protect, he cannot procreate, and he cannot save his own family, himself, his community, or his race. They're going to feminize him so they can genocide him in the last level. That's what it's about. It's putting everything over black folk, especially the women in general and black women in particular, and feminizing all black men.
And then 50, 100 years later, you got a black man wearing a dress at the Oscars, and everybody thinks that's wonderful. Everybody celebrates him, you know, gives him more opportunities, gives him, you know, meritorious manumission, as you always talk about. You know, it seems like that links to meritorious manumission, right? I remember you saying that entertaining white folks, or not threatening them, you know, protecting them and doing what they what makes them happy is a good way to get rewarded. And so when I saw this, the black men, all the black men, it's not just him, there's a lot of black men who put on dresses in Hollywood. And it made me think about meritorious manumission, as you've discussed, the rewards that you receive for pleasing white folks. Do you see, is there a connection there, or am I off base with that?
Right, and see that, and also when they talk about what's the men on the down low, black men on the down low, what they want to see, what they're doing is putting black folk in a position. And let me make those 3 P's again. By using gender and transsexuals and gays and all this stuff, and feminizing black men wearing dress or walking around on the down low. What they're doing is putting you in a position for taking the 3 P's away from you. First, you cannot procreate. You cannot procreate gay. See, you can't impregnate another man and make him have children. That's going to reduce the black population by gayifying and feminizing black men. That's one thing. That he loses that P for procreating. 2, he cannot protect himself, his family, or his race, or his community if he's walking around with a dress on, with a wig on, and false breasts on. So you reduce his ability to protect himself and his family. And the white man knows that once you feminize and neutralize and nudify black men, he can no longer protect anything in the black community. He can't stop. The white man can do anything he wants to that group, to that family, and that community. And so he lost both of those P's. And lastly, he cannot produce, because most people are not going to hire him walking around with a dress on and a false and wigs and fabricated tits and butts. They do that to make sure he reduce his ability to be able to produce even jobs and income. Those are the 3 P's. So don't think that that's casual conversation and just simply because they're feminizing black men in the movies and on stage and celebrating that his womanism. That is a death march for black folk. They're setting you up to be genocide.